Hello everybody, it's the Law Gnome, and thank you once again for coming to join me on another great film throwback day. Of course, this one will be for the month of June, and today we're going to be reviewing yet another classic that I had just seen for the very first time, thanks to this wonderful little segment that I put together, and that, of course, is the 1962 Best Picture Oscar winner, Lawrence of Arabia, starring the late Peter O'Toole, the late Sir Alec Guinness, and of course the late Anthony Quinn. Knowing that Gone with the Wind was the one that really paved the way for the epic film, but people have been saying to me that Lawrence of Arabia is epic beyond epic, and that it sometimes can put some of these great films to shame. Quite frankly, I did enjoy this movie overall. I thought that it was very well done. I thought that the acting was some of the best. I still could not get over the fact that this was Peter O'Toole's big break in the world of film, and we all know him as one of the legends of his time. I mean, for crying out loud, he went from a movie like Lawrence of Arabia to some of the most obscure things that you would never imagine him to be in, like the Brad Bird Pixar film Ratatouille as Anton Ego, and that was one of the best performances of that whole Pixar movie. I love Ratatouille, and I love Anton Ego in that movie. The acting role that really impressed me the most was Omar Sharif as Ali. I just adored his character. I loved the cinematography. There are some amazing shots in this movie that you just don't see in any other movie. I think that one that really stood out to me was the lone man just staring out into the distant of the desert sand, just wondering what exactly he is seeing on the horizon. To see this shot with a pure blue sky and smooth white sand, no music, no sound but the howling of the wind. That was just so beautiful in a haunting sort of way. I had never seen something like that in a movie. Of course, what also drives this movie is the wonderful score by Maurice Jarre, and that one song that everybody knows, whether you've seen Lawrence of Arabia or not. It could be said in other movies like Gone with the Wind and the Magnificent Seven. These scores were so legendary that even if you didn't see those movies, you know exactly what film these scores are from. I also love the fact that it was a movie that depicts a real-life character. T.E. Lawrence, of course, is a very famous British general from World War I. It was a part of history that we really don't learn much in school, especially being an American student. I mean, I've learned about the overthrowing of the Ottoman Empire, but this movie really goes into a lot of detail because we only scratch the surface when we learn about it in history books. Beautiful landscapes like the canyon scene. I also loved the whole clashing of the old ways of times versus the new ways of time. Like, you have a whole battle where it's men on horses with swords against soldiers with cannons and guns and cars. Like, it was just such a unique film to watch. The fact that there's not a single female in this movie. You do see them, but there's not one that really is a main character in this entire story. Now, some people do say that it was because of the fact that T.E. Lawrence had a very interesting lifestyle. I mean, some people believe that he was a homosexual person, but no one really got the living proof. The fact that there was not a single female lead or even a romance in this movie, I really appreciated that, because for a movie that comes from a lineage of epic films where there usually is a romance involved, the fact that there was no romance in this movie was quite impressive. And the beginning of the film was incredible, because I don't know if this was actually done before in film, but in this film, the ending is the beginning of the film. And I'm not going to spoil it, you just have to watch it to see it for itself. But here's the thing I really did not like about this movie. The length of the movie. I mean, it's almost 4 hours long. And I have sat through many 4-hour or more long movies. Like, I sat through all of Gone with the Wind, I sat through the Ten Commandments, I've sat through Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King Extended Edition, and I just was engaged from beginning to end. In this movie, not so much. There are certain points in time where you're just saying, oh my god, this movie is too long. I mean, I could probably understand where they were going, especially when they were doing a lot of traveling in the desert. Like, you want to make it aggravating, you want to make it excruciating with the heat and the wind and the fatigue of all the soldiers just going through emptiness with next to no supplies and dying from heat. I mean, that's something where you do want to show the realism, realism, but in a film it doesn't always work. You want to keep your audience engaged from start to finish, and there were points in time where I saw myself either pausing the movie to go for a bathroom break or going to grab a snack. I did not do that with movies like Gone with the Wind, and I really didn't like the ending of the movie. I mean, even though I said that the end of the movie is really the beginning, but that's just the end of the whole story of T.E. Lawrence. The end of the movie is not what I expected at all, and I was very upset with the way that this movie ended, because knowing the whole movie that it was, and all of the other things that it is compared to, I would have expected something so grand, and I didn't. Because somebody once asked me a question, and that was, Gone with the Wind or Lawrence of Arabia? It's definitely Gone with the Wind. It's because of the fact that a movie like Gone with the Wind is the reason why we have a movie like Lawrence of Arabia. I could definitely understand why this movie got all of the great milestones in film that it got, because of the fact that it just did things that we had never seen before, and it was done with such a beautiful passion, and the way that it was all executed was done so originally and beautifully, and that's why the movie is the Best Picture winner of 1962. It is on many, many top lists in regards to films that you should see, and it definitely is a landmark and a true milestone, and I definitely feel that if you haven't seen Lawrence of Arabia, you should see it, because like all these other great movies that I'm watching, it's a legendary film. You should. But did I think that it was 100% perfect? Absolutely not. And that's why I'm giving Lawrence of Arabia 3 out of 4. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please put your comments in the box below if you've seen Lawrence of Arabia, or if you'd like to see it. I'd really like to have a conversation with you and get to know your thoughts. And I'm looking forward to another great film throwback day, and I'll see you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.